Amidst the daily hustle, our spaces often reflect the chaos of our minds. Look at your desk right now, scattered papers, uncapped pens, sticky notes everywhere. And that kitchen drawer? The one you're afraid to open because you don't know what you might find. Closets overflowing with clothes, many you don't even remember owning. This silent clutter slowly steals our peace, minute after minute, day after day, without us even realizing it. Today I want to share a secret with you that completely transformed my life. It's not a magic solution or a revolutionary product. It's a simple method, inspired by the Japanese minimalist lifestyle, that will change the way you see your spaces and, believe it or not, the way you see your own life. When I first stepped into a traditional home in rural Japan, something deeply touched me. It wasn't what was present in the environment, but what wasn't there. The space had an almost palpable quality. The air felt lighter, cleaner. My thoughts were able to flow more clearly. It was as if each object had been chosen with purpose. Each empty space had its own value. This feeling isn't accidental. It's the result of a culture that has valued space, simplicity, and intention behind every choice for centuries. Our brains are constantly processing all the visual stimuli around us, even when we're not consciously paying attention. Every excess object, every overloaded surface, every disorganized corner demands a bit of our mental energy. This visual overload creates a constant hum of stress that we barely notice, but leaves us mentally exhausted at the end of the day. It's no wonder we feel that sense of relief when we enter an organized hotel room after a tiring day. That moment of, "I can finally breathe," isn't imagination. It's your brain thanking you for the reduction of stimuli it needs to process. I met Maria, a woman who sought help after a nervous breakdown. Her apartment was a labyrinth of piled-up things. Clothes with tags never worn, empty boxes saved just in case, kitchen utensils she barely remembered owning. She lived in a constant state of alert, unable to relax in her own home. 6 months after our first conversation about simplifying her space, Maria seemed like a different person. "I didn't know I could breathe like this," she told me with tears in her eyes, "like I had taken off a weight I didn't even know I was carrying." The daily trick I discovered is simple but powerful, transforming organization into a conscious ritual, not a chore. When we stop seeing tidying up as a burden and start seeing it as a moment of connection with our space, everything changes. The transformation starts in the morning. Before leaving your bedroom, dedicate 2 minutes to making your bed, not just any way, but with mindfulness. Feel the fabric of the sheets, adjust the pillow as if you were preparing the space to receive a special guest, yourself at the end of the day. In the kitchen, before making coffee, clean any dishes from the night before. Wipe down the surfaces, leaving only the essentials in sight. You'll notice how preparing breakfast in a clean and organized space makes the moment more enjoyable, more present. In the bathroom, after getting ready, put away all the products, wipe the sink, hang the towel neatly. These are small gestures that take seconds but completely transform your experience when you return to that space. Before leaving home, dedicate a minute to the entryway. Organize your shoes, hang your keys in the designated place, check for mail or objects out of place. This is the last image you'll have of your home before leaving and the first when you return. It's worth it for it to be an image of order and tranquility. At night before going to sleep, dedicate 5 minutes to preparing each room for the next day. Return objects to their places, organize surfaces, check for items that don't belong in that space. This nightly ritual serves as a conscious closing of the day and prepares the ground for a more peaceful dawn. The power of these small daily rituals isn't just in the physical spaces they create, but in the mentality they cultivate. You start to notice patterns, where clutter tends to happen, which objects frequently end up out of place, which areas of the house require more attention. Little by little, you naturally start to question what really needs to be in each environment. Does that pile of magazines you never read really deserve to take up space in your living room? Are the 10 cell phone chargers stored in the drawer necessary when you only use one? Carlos, a marketing executive, discovered during his organization process that he accumulated work materials for fear of appearing unprepared. His desk was always buried in papers he never consulted. By recognizing this pattern, he not only organized his workspace, but also began to question other aspects of his life where the fear of inadequacy led him to behaviors that only complicated his day-to-day life. Surfaces are particularly important in creating a sense of space. Tables, counters, and dressers often become temporary deposits that quickly become permanent. Adopt the principle that horizontal surfaces should remain mostly free, with the exception of a few carefully chosen objects that bring beauty or essential function to your day. The entrance to your home deserves special attention. This isn't just a hallway or foyer, it's the threshold between the outside world and your personal sanctuary. Keep it simple and functional. A defined place for keys, a space for shoes, a small bench to facilitate the transition. When you enter your home through an organized space, your mind begins to slow down naturally, preparing for rest. The bathroom, often neglected, can become a small spa with simple adjustments. Remove duplicate or rarely used products. Keep only the essentials in sight. A small plant, a candle with a soft scent, carefully folded towels. These simple details transform a purely functional space into an environment of conscious self-care. The kitchen is perhaps the biggest challenge for many of us. Years of accumulating utensils, appliances, and containers create a space where cooking becomes a stressful task instead of a nourishing act. Start by completely emptying a cabinet or drawer. Clean the space before deciding what will go back. Do you really need 3 spatulas, 5 cutting boards, and 10 pots of almost identical sizes? Keeping only what is necessary in the kitchen completely transforms the experience of preparing food. With fewer options, decisions become simpler. With more space between items, finding what you need stops being a frustrating treasure hunt. The act of cooking becomes more fluid, more intuitive, and you start to feel pleasure in nourishing your body instead of stress from having to deal with the mess. In the bedroom, simplicity is particularly powerful. This is the space where your body and mind recover. Every unnecessary object steals a bit of the tranquility that should exist there. Keep surfaces almost empty. Choose bedding in soft tones that soothe the senses. Remove electronic devices, or at least hide their wires. The room should whisper rest, not scream distraction. The wardrobe deserves special attention. The clothes we wear are our second skin, and an overloaded wardrobe usually indicates a complicated relationship with our self-image. When simplifying, don't think about rigid rules about how many pieces to keep. Instead, reflect on how each piece makes you feel. The clothes you keep should fit well, match other pieces, and above all, make you feel comfortable and confident. An interesting exercise is to turn all the hangers in one direction. After using and washing a piece, return it to the wardrobe with the hanger in the opposite direction. After a few months, it will become clear which clothes are really part of your life and which only take up physical and mental space. Workspaces, whether a full office or just a corner of the room, often reflect our relationship with productivity and creativity. An overloaded workspace usually reveals a mind that fears forgetting tasks or missing opportunities. By simplifying this environment, you're not just organizing objects, you're reorganizing your approach to work. Keep only current projects on hand. Files and storage should be minimal and well organized. A simple workspace communicates confidence in your ability to focus on the essential, on what really matters now. Natural light plays a fundamental role in spaces inspired by minimalism. Where possible, maximize the entry of natural light. Clean windows, light curtains that can be completely opened, mirrors positioned to reflect light. These choices create environments that seem larger and connected to the outside world. Natural elements bring life and serenity to any space. A small plant, an interesting stone found during a walk, a simple flower arrangement. These elements connect us with natural cycles and bring texture and depth without creating visual clutter. Each object should earn its place in the space through its beauty, function, or special meaning. This doesn't mean you should live in an empty or impersonal environment. On the contrary, when we remove the excess, the truly meaningful objects gain prominence. That ceramic made by your child, the chair you inherited from your grandmother, the tea set you brought from a memorable trip. These items tell your story and deserve to be celebrated, not lost in the midst of accumulation. A transformative question is, if I were moving tomorrow and could only take 30% of my belongings, which would I choose? This reflection usually reveals the true value we attach to our possessions. The real challenge isn't the initial organization, but maintaining the space over time. How do you prevent clutter from creeping back in? The answer lies in changing our relationship with consumption. Before bringing any new item home, stop and consider, does this add real value to my life? Do I have a designated space for this? Am I willing to get rid of something existing to accommodate this new item? Conscious consumption doesn't mean never buying anything new. It means making choices with purpose, based on real needs and personal values, not on momentary impulses or external pressures. It means preferring quality to quantity, durability to immediate convenience. Gratitude for the objects we already own is a powerful antidote to impulsive consumption. When we regularly recognize and appreciate what we have, the urge to acquire more naturally diminishes. This is one of the deepest aspects of minimalism, the ability to find satisfaction in enough, in what we already have. There is beauty in imperfection and simplicity. A chipped but loved glass, a table with marks of use that tell stories of shared meals, a fabric faded by the sun but still functional. These objects carry an authenticity that new and perfect items do not possess. By embracing these imperfections, we develop a more sustainable and affectionate relationship with our belongings. Daily cleaning and organization routines should not be seen as boring tasks, but as mindfulness practices. When folding clothes carefully, you're not just tidying up fabrics, you're cultivating patience. When cleaning surfaces, you're not just removing dust, you're creating space for new possibilities. These activities, when performed with presence, become forms of active meditation. Many people fear that simplifying means creating cold or impersonal environments. The opposite is true. When we remove the excess, we create space for the true personality of the environment to appear. A space with few carefully chosen objects usually reflects more authentically who inhabits it than a space full of items acquired on impulse. The journey of transforming your environment is also a journey of self-knowledge. Each decision about what to keep and what to release reveals something about your values, fears, and aspirations. By questioning why you keep certain objects, you inevitably question deeper aspects of how you live your life. I observed this with Pedro, a university professor who decided to reorganize his home office. The process revealed dozens of books and articles saved for fear of appearing ignorant in professional conversations. By recognizing that this fear guided many of his choices, he not only simplified his space, but also began to participate in academic discussions with more authenticity, admitting when he didn't know something instead of feigning familiarity. The transformation of environments through minimalism doesn't happen overnight. It's an ongoing process of conscious choices. Start with a small space, a drawer, a shelf, a corner of the room. Experience the feeling of having only what is necessary and meaningful in that small environment. Little by little, this feeling will become something you want to expand to other areas. Remember that the goal isn't to create a perfect environment that looks like it came out of a decorating magazine. The goal is to create a space that supports your real life, your authentic needs, your moments of joy, and also your moments of difficulty. An often forgotten aspect of organizing spaces is flow, how you move through the environments. Observe the paths you naturally take in your home. Are there constant obstacles? Do you need to work around objects regularly? Reorganize the space to create intuitive flows that require less physical and mental effort. Rhythm is also important. Well-organized spaces create a visual rhythm, moments of complexity balanced by areas of simplicity, dark objects counterbalanced by light spaces. This rhythm doesn't need to be planned meticulously. It emerges naturally when we remove the excess and allow each object to breathe. A revealing exercise is to photograph a space before reorganizing it. Weeks after the transformation, compare the images. Often the difference isn't just visual but emotional. You can feel the change in energy between the two versions of the same environment. The real magic happens when external transformation catalyzes an internal one. Many people report that after simplifying their environments, they naturally begin to simplify other aspects of their lives. Less overloaded schedules, more authentic relationships, simpler and more nutritious diets. It's as if the newly discovered physical space creates permission to find space in other dimensions of life. Have you ever experienced that moment of relief when entering a well-organized hotel room after a tiring day of travel? That feeling of, I can finally relax? This is the feeling we can create in our own spaces daily, not as an occasional luxury, but as the foundation of our everyday well-being. Minimalism teaches us that emptiness is not absence, it's possibility. The spaces between objects are not waste, they are breathing room. The silence between notes is not a lack of music, it's what allows the melody to exist. Similarly, the spaces we create in our homes are not gaps to be filled. They are fields of potential where our life can unfold more freely. When I look back on my own simplification journey, I remember the moment I realized I wasn't just organizing objects. I was reorganizing my relationship with time, with consumption, with my own expectations. It was as if each released object created space not only in my home, but in my mind. This transformation happens one day at a time, one object at a time, one decision at a time. The small daily rituals I've shared with you are the foundation of this sustainable change. They are not rigid rules, but invitations to a more conscious way of inhabiting your spaces. Start today. Choose a corner of your home. It could be your desk, your bedside table, or even that problematic kitchen drawer. Empty it completely. Clean the surface. Look at each object and ask the simple but powerful question, does this really deserve a place in my life? Return only what passes this test. Find a suitable place for each item that stays, a place that makes sense for the flow of your life. Experience this feeling of clarity, even if it's in a small space. Observe how you feel when using this space in the coming days. Gradually, expand this practice to other areas of your home. There's no rush. Minimalism is not a race, it's a journey. Allow yourself to experiment, adjust, find what works for you and your family. There are no absolute rules, just principles that can be adapted to your unique needs. The beauty of this approach is that it grows with you. As your needs and circumstances change, your spaces can evolve too, always maintaining the essence of simplicity and purpose. Imagine waking up in a room where every object was chosen with intention, preparing breakfast in a kitchen where everything has its place, working in a space that invites focus and creativity, relaxing in a room that allows your mind to truly rest. This is not a distant fantasy. It's a possibility within reach of small daily decisions. Japanese minimalism invites us to see our spaces not as collections of things, but as living environments that nurture our well-being. Each object, each arrangement, each choice of color and texture contributes to the overall atmosphere, to the air we breathe both literally and metaphorically. When we create spaces that breathe, we can also breathe more deeply. When we release physical excess, we often discover that we are also releasing emotional weights that we didn't even know we were carrying. The daily trick I shared with you, this ritual of mindful attention to our spaces, may seem too simple to be transformative, but the biggest changes often begin with the simplest gestures, repeated with consistency and intention. As you incorporate these small rituals into your daily life, you may discover that you are creating much more than an organized space. You are creating a new relationship with your possessions, with your time, with your attention. You are creating a personal sanctuary where you can truly be present, not distracted by excess, not overwhelmed by clutter, but centered on what really matters. The real gift of minimalism is not a perfectly tidy environment. It's the freedom we find when we liberate ourselves from the tyranny of excess. It's the mental space we create when our physical environment stops demanding constant attention and energy. It's the clarity that emerges when we remove distractions and allow ourselves to focus on the essential. As we conclude this time together, I invite you to look around you again, not with judgment but with curiosity. What story is your current environment telling? Is it a story of accumulation or of choice, of anxiety or of peace, of past or of present? Transformation begins with a simple decision, the decision to create space. Space between objects, space between commitments, space between thoughts. In this space we discover something surprising, that perhaps what we were most seeking was not something to be acquired, but something to be revealed when we remove the layers of excess. Your transformed environment awaits, not as a perfect version from an impossible catalogue, but as an authentic expression of who you really are and what you truly value. A place where every object has meaning, every space has purpose, and you can finally breathe completely, free from the silent weight we didn't even realize we were carrying. The path is before you, one step at a time, one object at a time, one conscious decision at a time, and on this journey you may discover that the true home you were seeking was not a physical place, but an internal sense of belonging, clarity, and peace. This daily trick, these small rituals of attention to our spaces, are much more than organization techniques. They are practices of presence, invitations to a more conscious way of living. And perhaps that's what Japanese minimalism really has to teach us, Not just how to organize our spaces, but how to inhabit our lives with more intention, more attention, and more peace. Share this blessed video so that it can touch and help other people like you and me. Don't forget to click the subscribe button if you haven't already. Thank you very much from the bottom of my heart for being part of our faith community. If you would like to support our channel a little more, consider becoming a member of our channel. I leave here 2 more videos so that you can continue your search. Thank you, and God bless you all. See you later.